Governor Ron DeSantis just banned lab-grown meat in Florida. Wait, what? Why? Since when was this an issue? Lots of liberals and conservatives have, well, beef with DeSantis now. They're calling him a crony capitalist. His move was well-intentioned, but wrong. I'll explain why, but first some background.
What they want to say is this is the same as raising cattle and doing it naturally, then there's no reason that you have this industry. So it is designed to represent a threat to agriculture as we know it.
The Florida law makes it illegal to manufacture, sell, hold, or distribute lab-grown meat within the state. Those who violate it could be charged with a misdemeanor. Synthetic meat is cultured from animal cells.
Creepy.
They want to basically eliminate meat. They want to eliminate cattle. They want to eliminate chickens, all this stuff. And they want to create protein in laboratories.
DeSantis said this was a preemptive strike to head off a future threat to cattle raisers.
So I recognize the threats that we're seeing from some of these elites throughout the world in places like Davos. I understand that they've put a target on the back of agriculture.
What DeSantis means by the global elite is the World Economic Forum. This is an international conference of the world's wealthiest and most powerful that meets in Davos, Switzerland to advance sweeping ideas that are often not in the best interests of ordinary people. The organization has published pieces like this. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, who's been involved with Davos, has invested heavily in the lab-grown meat industry. He has said, quote, all rich countries should move to 100% synthetic meat. He's even said that governments could, quote, use regulation to totally shift the demand. Pretty scary stuff. I'm not saying all billionaires want to make us feudal peasants, but this fuels the fire of the you will eat the bugs, live in the pods, own nothing, and be happy about it conspiracy.
You will sit there until you eat it.
Meat is officially a culture war issue now. To control people's diets is dystopian. This all stems from the green energy craze, which is also trying to stop people from driving gas cars and make them depend on solar, wind, etc. to combat climate change. Environmentalists argue that animal flatulence is warming the earth. If you start a farm, buy some cows and chickens, you are a radical.
Do you even care about the environment?
Here's New York City Mayor Eric Adams last April.
But all food is not created equal. The vast majority of food that is contributing to our emission crisis lies in meat and dairy products.
He took over Mayor Bill de Blasio's plan to reduce the city's carbon footprint by 33% in 2030 by cutting back on protein purchases. Adams said fossil fuels aren't the only problem. Quote, we now have to talk about beef.
And I don't know if people are really ready for this conversation.
No, we are not. No sane person thinks that limiting their meat intake will save the world. Richard Larrick, a professor of management at Duke University, said to have 20 grams of protein from beef, that's kind of a meal serving of protein, is like burning a gallon of gasoline. Proponents of lab-grown meat say it requires much less land, uses less water, and produces less pollution. But researchers at the University of California, Davis found that cultivated meat's environmental impact is 4 to 25 times greater than the average for regular beef. One reason is because the ingredients needed to multiply animal cells use a lot of resources. If companies are having to purify growth media to pharmaceutical levels, it uses more resources. Not a huge fan of test tube dinner, personally. I have some questions. How are the substances that make meat artificially grow going to impact the body? Is this industry using the same cell stock to make massive quantities of meat? Will this hurt the human biome? However, banning meat alternatives is not the way to go. Florida championed the move as a way to protect the state's cattle farmers and agriculture. DeSantis' fear was that our oligarchs and overlords would corner us into fake meat against our will, telling us what we can and cannot eat.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
But to ban a certain food outright is doing exactly that. There's now a new mandate on the books. As National Review wrote in its editorial, a better idea would be to pass a law that protects the freedom of people to eat whatever they want, or to ban state money being funneled into the production of lab-grown meat, or to prevent greenhouse gas taxes from being imposed on meat. The best solution, honestly, is transparency in the market. Artificial butter is not sold as butter, but as margarine or plant-based butter. I often see salmon labeled as either farm-raised or wild-caught, which I much prefer. Lab-grown meat should be labeled as such so consumers can make informed choices. So this is a debate now. Should we ban lab-grown meat or shouldn't we? But what's for sure is that there is growing momentum in the United States to ban TikTok, which is now a law that's been enacted by Joe Biden and we know is very harmful to our nation's children. To learn more about what exactly it's doing to your kids, check out Sam Lehman's video above.